Try to imagine all life as you know it stopping instantaneously and every molecule in your body exploding at the speed of light.
Total protonic reversal.
Protonic reversal.
Protonic reversal with your host, Conan Neutron. Broadcasting from a secret underground lair in Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
A gigantic middle finger to everything that is rock about music, rock and roll, and corporate power.
The thing is, though, if you don't laugh, you're going to go on a killing spree with sharpened nails.
Confidence of a hero or a fool. I wasn't exactly certain which.
Could not be more professional.
It means something. It means something. You know, that's my take on it. What's yours?
Protonic reversal.
That's like a science thing, right?
Indeed it is. It is a science thing, is a science place, is a scientific fact that we're all up in your face. It is time once again for the one, the only Protonic Reversal. Welcome to it. Episode 466 tonight. And boy, have I been cranking out these episodes. So I hope you guys have been enjoying that. But whether you've been enjoying them or not, I've been definitely doing them. And this is another episode of the hit show, Protonic Reversal. Very excited, very shortly, to be talking to Mr. Johnny Iguana. Before we do that, welcome to Conan Neutron's Protonic Reversal. I'm your host, Conan Neutron. I'm a rock and roll lifer that's been touring and recording for 26 years. Most known for the band Conan Neutron and the Secret Friends. Music is a huge part of my life, and I use the format of this very long-running podcast to talk about music with musicians whose work I enjoy and respect, but who may not be household names. This is episode 466. If this is your first time listening to the show, archives of it are available for free. No ads, no sponsors, no kidding, ProtonicReversal.com. However, if you want to support the show and get episodes sooner, $1 a month at patreon.com/ProtonicReversal will achieve that goal. If you like the show, we've missed a single episode, please feel free to like, subscribe on your platform of choice, share it around the internet, even leave a review. All that helps people discover the show. It beats back the almighty algorithmic overlords. It's just a darn nice thing to do. Okay, so Conan Neutron, the Secret Friends Tour, West Coast, imminent. San Francisco, Sacramento, Eureka, Portland, Seattle. Tickets available, links in all the normal places, neutronfriends.com. Come on out. It would be great to see you. We're going out with The Null, which is my ex-bandmate Jacob from Victory and Associates' new band. So I'm very excited to be playing shows with him. Come out to all those. And then, of course, we have Caterwaul West, 4th and 5th LA Permanent Records with Mike Watt and Gaithias, Elephant Rifle, Cosmic Hit, and so many others. And then Detroit, Milwaukee, Minneapolis, the 11th, 12th, 13th of September. Super delayed way of the Neutron release. Come out to those shows, please. Much appreciated. But we're not here to talk about Secret Friends. We're here to talk about Claudettes. We're here to talk about, oh my God, we're here to talk about the one and only Mr. Johnny Iguana. Welcome to the show, man.
I'm wearing my McCluskey shirt.
You are? That's awesome. I was
reading about you did some shows with them.
Yeah. We technically speaking did 2 tours with them, but yeah, it was kind of split over a larger time period because he had the whole thing that happened. Well, first it was his voice, then was his ears. And he has to use the things that look like my headphones now. This is great for the audio listeners, by the way. Those kinds of he has to use that kind of hearing protection, and the drums have to be in it's a quiz show, and you don't want them to hear the answers like that, like the cone of silence kind of thing.
Oh, well,
but
they're loud, but they're good.
they made it work, and they even put out a killer record. That's much respect. I think Falco may be the guest I have had return most over the years. I kind of lost count at a certain amount at the time, but hell of a band. Love them very much. Yeah, this new Claudettes record. This is like the 6th record. Is that it's?
Well, when you put out something that's 26 minutes, what do you call it? A record? There used to be EP versus LP, so you could say 7th, but one of them was on the shorter side, and it was sort of like an unplugged, if you will, just shorter, like digital only EP with videos of performances of every song. But So 6 like kind of full on album. Yeah.
Well, I get kind of annoyed sometimes because some of those retroactively classify something as an EP, where it's like, okay, that clearly isn't an EP though. Yeah. And then also, I just had Blog Dahlia from the Dwarves on, and they're sort of seminal. This time, that's actually both meanings included. Blood, Guts, and the other thing record. It's like 13 minutes long, but no one's calling that an EP because it's punk rock, right? So it's one of those things where I feel like it only really makes a difference for press. Like, press doesn't take non-LPs as seriously as EPs. At least, not me, of course, but press.
I guess it's also like a holdover from older times with, if you have a sticker on something and you expect a certain price for a certain product, you're
That's right.
Yeah. This much for just an EP,
Yeah. There's like 3 songs on this.
LP price.
Yeah, exactly. What are they trying to get away with here? So a lot of that is like music industry kind of holdover stuff. But and as fascinating as this isn't really where I wanted to go when it started off. What I was establishing is that the band's been around for a while at this point. Of course, I know you from Oh My God, because we played together back in the day. And I have followed the Claudettes as you guys have gone and done stuff, and like people have come in, come out, the various antics and the various adventures that you guys have
hijinks, please.
Hijinks, sure, yeah, more of a hijinks man than an antics man. But I think it's funny to me because it's like oh yeah, well I've been doing my band for like over 10 years now, and it's like, oh yeah, it seems like it's like yesterday and 1,000 years at the same time. Mm-hmm. Do you feel like there has been epochs of time for Claudettes that, like, in your mind, or is it all just kind of one long thing? Is it all like one river?
I mean, it remains true to my original concept, which I had when my wife and child were going on a East Coast, like Jersey Shore trip, which I don't take because I don't like sun or sand or salt water.
Yeah, other than that, you like it, yeah.
So, which is, I assume, why you went from California to Wisconsin.
Yeah, I got sick of it. There's enough with this.
But I had this idea of, like, I had loved these Otis Spann, SP Leary recordings that were just piano and drums. Yeah. And he sang on half, and others were just instrumental. And I thought it would be really fun to do something rooted in blues piano, but just be me all the way and do it with this drummer that I've been playing with for years. And so I made it. I made like day and night recordings while I had the house to myself. I set up the mics, and I even committed to like slapback echo for kind of a, I grew up loving Meat Puppets, and I love how this music can all of a sudden, just descend into this peyote echo pedal chaos,
Yeah.
And I'm like, I want a little of that. I want it to have like blues at its center, but I've been playing a lot of like Tin Pan Alley standards on the piano, and I also grew up playing classical, and I loved punk as a teenager. So I wanted to have that blues piano at its center, but let anything in that felt natural to me. And by the time I recorded for 2.5 days and nights, it was actually the foundation of our first recording, which the drummer was good enough, since I did it to a click. I did that thinking maybe we could just overdub drums, and he did that.
Which is like the hardest thing to overdub. So that's
he even made notes of like, okay, Ig really speeds up in this section, so I got to speed up a little. He made really meticulous notes that way, as he would. So, but over time, I just met singers, and my friend Zach moved from South Dakota to Chicago, and I just kind of wanted to hear strings in the band. And by strings, I thought like slide guitar, but he had the idea of this bass 6 instrument, which is kind of like a baritone guitar.
I know it well. I've actually used it on a couple of records, but like most people don't, because they're so strange. Like the Beatles even used one, right?
Right, and the Kinks, I heard, I think like it was big in the 60s, right? So I guess, you think of it as like, it's technically a bass, but you can go up there with a slide in the neck and play. It's just a little harder, and but his idea was that way he could cover bass, but when I'm hanging out in the bass area, as I do on the piano, he could also go up higher, or like maybe together we make the bass end, with the piano and the bass. It was a great idea. It sounds great to me.
Right, and as long as you're careful with the, like if you're thoughtful about it, like it's totally fine to have be on the bassy area of the piano and still have plenty of room to do cool things with actual bass. It's just one of those things that some people are less thoughtful than others. Let's just say.
Well, I mean, there's recordings of Chicago blues where Otis Spann's hanging out in that left hand range, and he's just doing fifths and figures. Meanwhile, the bass player's playing the roots, and it works together. If you analyze it and go, wait a second now, it's kind of, like mayhem down in their low end, but I don't really like to analyze it. I go, it sounds good to me, and they're good players, and they've got good feel. And I always say The Who is an example of a band I admire because they don't do like the Chili Peppers and do all the hits at the same moment. Go, huh? We rehearsed. Yeah, bah, bah, bah. That's like not that funky to me. It's better when people are just wicked awesome at the same time, and they all have their internal clock. And on paper, it might be a total mess. I mean, isn't Moon and Entwistle and Townsend a complete mess if you analyze?
There's no reason it works, right? If you stop and think about it, it's like, that wouldn't work.
No, but those humans, it works incredible.
But it works fantastically. And you got Entwistle just and he's going hog as well, but somehow it all comes together to be this incredible, exhilarating experience. And, and that's just the amount of, a band learning to work well with the attributes of the players, and then also kind of trusting each other.
I think it also credits the listener as okay, we don't have to play the lay out the chord change and exactly the downbeat because they're going to understand that, and the listeners will appreciate that, and then we can just go off and kind of dance around it, and it's understood where the anchor of the song is.
And you can kind of leave and kind of come back to it and kind of take it somewhere kind of cool. Because, and that's, you said an important thing, too. You're trusting the listener, right? You're trusting the listener to maybe be paying attention to nuances and you have things available to them.
Fill in the blanks.
They can make this as part of their experience. Correct. Yeah, and it's interesting to see that deployed. And it is, you mentioned Tin Pan Alley. There's definitely a, there's a lot of kind of almost burlesque, noir-y kind of things that happen with you guys' music. But I mean, it's not like it's dangerous. And I hate to phrase it that way, but I've heard some bands this is. I appreciate the composition of what is happening here, but it's just all right. Yeah, this may as well be a background display at Woolworths or something. There's nothing worth
or a museum piece.
Right. It's very safe and
not even modern.
Right. And for me, I like it when it's when it hits a little harder, and it's interesting coming from. Because with Oh My God, you had the more overdriven kind of the organy kind of stuff, and it catches the attention, right? And the different way that you've done composition with this band is really fascinating. It kind of reminds me in some ways of Sparks, which is a band
we cover them.
I know you do. Okay. And they're one of my favorite bands of all time, but also just because it's it's another piano-driven band.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But there is those elements of movie music, as people might call it. I mean, I feel some of the stuff it's almost as it's blues, but it's that. Remember that weird era where it's the French people were trying to reinterpret American music, and then,
yeah. In the 60s. That's how we sort of started when we had Yana as our singer. We specifically did Serge Gainsbourg songs and other ones from that era on half an album because that's what she loved doing, and I was like, that makes sense. French, it's almost like the English and England and U.S. bandying back and forth with Muddy Waters and Howlin' Wolf and Elmore James, adopted in spirit by the Brits who didn't really play or sing that way, but they have internalized it and made original music out of it. And then people here get influenced by the Stones, and it's an exchange like Jamaica and England had too, and certainly in France, that era you're talking about, it was cigarette smoking, beret wearing people, but it's really just some of them are dead, total knockoffs of specific American R&B and blues songs.
Oh, absolutely.
And then they do their own thing with their sexy young 17-year-old French selves at the time, like that. And but then we decided we're let's do those songs that they took from over here.
Right, because you're taking back something that was sort of emulated, but unintentionally reinterpreted, and then kind of reflecting that back. And it's kind of an interesting Ouroboros in that way. It's at one point this was a Sam and Dave song, 1,000 years ago, but now it's something entirely different. You invoked Muddy Waters. I know you have the first song on the new record. You got John Primer on that, and that's I mean, he's no spring chicken. I mean, that guy.
No, yeah, he's 81 now, and he's kind of at the peak of his success of his career, where he was just Grammy nominated. He's getting great slots at all the festivals around the world, and he should be. I mean, he is our connection to that sound. He played with Muddy. That was his hero, and it's so cool to see. That there's time has moved so fast. It seems to me that there's pretty darn good video of him at the Checkerboard in Chicago playing with Muddy when the Stones appeared, and they made like a DVD about that. But you can see you can see John's like humility and even slight fear, just like up there with his absolute like Mount Rushmore hero. But he internalized that tone, and it's just he speaks that fluently. But I wanted to have him on this track because I envisioned it as like a soul duet, not like someone singing backups or harmony. And I'm like Teddy Pendergrass, Marvin Gaye, or something like that. And he did an album like 5 years ago called Soul of a Blues Man, where he sang like Rainy Night in Georgia and stuff. And so I was correct, because he's very humble at first and thought maybe this wasn't a good match. Because I had written a specific part, and then in the studio he just said, "Can I do it my way?" And he started bouncing off the melody, answering with phrases instead of being in lockstep, not necessarily a harmony, but like an octave or unison, and we just captured it while he discovered the song, which is why it hits people so much.
That's so cool.
He's singing it with like discovery and real heart, because it's not something he learned carefully and he's got reading glasses in the studio. It wasn't that at all.
Yeah. It's not coming from the geometry class. It's coming from somewhere different. Yeah, and it's a hell of a way to kick off the record too, because I mean, it gets your attention immediately. Like, whoa. What I throw on? What is this?
Perhaps misleading.
yeah. Not in a bad way. Yeah, it just comes in real, like it catches your attention immediately, and it's when I actually found out who it was, I was like, oh man, that's crazy. But like, it also made sense, right? I mean, and it is very much it's a Chicago style song, like in that same way, and it's like, oh no, it don't make sense to have him on. That's just, it's kind of a trip that's like, wow, that dude was like Muddy Waters band.
I was inspired by the Shy Lights, oh girl, and that's why I came up with Whole World as kind of a sound-alike, and then I just went from there.
Sure,
But I turned it into more of a minor key thing after hearing this. I heard a Jackie Mittoo, who's like, he founder of the Scatolites, Hammond Organ King of Jamaica. I just heard a track on the radio while I was driving, and I was like, oh, like I could see doing that "oh girl" thing. It's got in my mind, but with these minor changes, and it just worked so great. And it was one of those songs that just like all of the words and melody and chords were written like almost immediately once the concept. Sometimes the concept hits you, and you're like. And then you're just almost trying to get it down fast enough before it leaves. Before
what I always say is before it's a chance to become mundane. Because there is that, where you just feel like you're not hoeing a field. You're just trying to capture the lightning in a bottle to a certain degree. And what an exciting thing time that is when you're a creative person and you're putting this kind of thing together. It's killer, and it's interesting. Is this the first record with Rachel? Is that
it
correct?
Is.
Okay,
it is.
yeah, because she played with you for a while though.
Yeah, we had a merch booth only 4-song, I will call it an EP, on vinyl that we only had at the merch booth. That was 2 of the songs on Garage Glamour, but they were very early mixes, and then 2 songs that we have not put out in any way. We recorded probably an album and a half of stuff for Garage Glamour over a couple of years, just in 3-song bursts in the studio, 3 different studios. And then we just kind of, how fun it is to take too many songs and then listen and go, as much as I love this song, it just doesn't seem to play well on what I would think of as an album with these others. So some of my favorites didn't make it, but then I found a list that I thought, ooh, that and I came back to it. And, I like to fold laundry or something when I'm listening to a playlist, so I forget that I'm listening to it and see if I'm enjoying myself with what's going on in the other room,
Yeah. Like there's things where it'll catch your attention in a good way and things that catch your attention in a bad way.
Absolutely.
And you said something very important and that's something that, look, I never understood that when I first started making records. It's like, yeah, these are the songs we just went on tour with. Of course, we're going to record all of them in this sequence, And then now it's like, oh yeah, this song's great. Doesn't fit with any of the rest of these. This song will be great on something else later down the line. And that is something that took me many years to even realize, let alone be okay with doing. And for you guys, you have such a deep catalog, and what the records are, right? It's something where, of course, it's not going to be for everybody. Like if you're trying to make music for everybody, you're making music for nobody, frankly.
Mm-hmm.
But you have a very distinct vision. You have distinct sounds, moods, things you're trying to accomplish. And sometimes you're like, yeah, that's good, and it's not. It shouldn't be on here. Like it just doesn't work, or it doesn't work yet can be a thing too. But that is fascinating to hear about that. So when you're thinking about that kind of thing, when it comes time to record, do you have it's going to be all these ones, or does it kind of let while you're recording them what the record is going to be? Like, what is it, more of a cerebral thing or more of a gut feeling?
Well, there's also the scheduling of 4 adult human beings. There's also finances.
I have no idea what you're talking about, sir. No idea. No.
I know. I didn't mean to really get into those weeds, but it's just I think what it's pretty rare anymore that I'll say, okay, we've rented these 7 days in the studio, we're going to make a whole album. Then now it's more like, hey, right now we're feeling really hot about these 2 to 4 to 5 songs. Can everyone do this 8-day stretch? And some people are going to go, yes, I can't do these 3 half days, and then just start to get it together and find out what's available. And so for many years now, I've really been doing it in clumps. I haven't just gone in and recorded the whole album in quite a few years now. And you hope that if you capture it over with the same people while you're also playing shows, and it's the same group of humans, and that it can come off as an album without being something that you went into the studio and did in one cohesive manner.
Right. Like, yeah, we just toured this for 60 days, and now we're gonna record the record because we hate every one of these songs. No, I did my last record that way. Like, I recorded, I think, of like 4 different sessions and just 3 songs at a time or whatever, because at first I didn't know what the hell it was. Like, well, these clearly are something together, but I don't know what it is yet, so I'll figure it out later. But I don't think it sounds like the kind of record. So, like, sometimes a record can sound like, oh, they recorded this in a bunch of different studios, didn't they? Just like the aesthetic of the recording is different. The sound of the room is different, so on and so on. And that actually can be kind of cool. But I think this sounds very, this sounds cohesive. This sounds very much like a thing, which is weird.
3 different studios and some of the songs, if you were to cite the influences of them, suggest that this record is like a compilation of different artists and genres. It's like,
oh, sure, because oh, absolutely, yeah.
I do think it sounds like one band, which is something I'm pretty proud of, and I feel like saying, see, like, we are just 4 people, so there should be something that wherever we recorded and whatever the styles you can pick out, I'm mostly playing piano, and those other guys were playing what they were playing, and Rachel was singing, and so I do think it comes off as that sounds like one band, as disparate as the band and recording process was.
Yeah, but it's like, you got like things. Yeah, you got the sort of rockabilly sounding like Wanda Jackson number, and then but you also have like the one that's like the Kraftwerk kind of like post punky, like synthy kind of thing going on. But it doesn't sound jarring. Like, it sounds very much right down the line of what you would do. And I think you guys have been around long enough and have built an audience that people kind of know to expect the unexpected, much like Sparks, that you're not going to get just the one thing.
Yeah, we don't run into we aren't going to run into the problem of, oh, like, why did they bother doing this album? It's just like I'm a Primus fan, but I remember at some point hearing some Primus and going, well, this song kind of sounds like Jerry was a race car driver. It's just not as good. It's like, and not to pick on them, because they sure are great, and I think they're really weird and wonderful. But I mean, there's just sometimes you hear a band like, we do this thing, and then and it does become. I mean, AC/DC. I could have said Ramones. There's so many bands that sure they faced a sort of existential question of like, do we evolve or do we hit what we hit with? You know?
Yeah.
And for us, there is no that.
Well, and I think and then that can also be something where the band, people are like, well, we like that thing that you do. Like, well, cool, we also do other things, though. Well, we don't want to hear that. We want to hear the thing that you do. And it's like, well, you have to allow for that. And that can allow for insane I mean, the perfect example, like Harvey Milk, right? They did that record, The Pleaser, and like after doing this just, thick as syrup, slow, heavy music, then they do a record that sounds like Kiss. But in a good way. It's really good. But people were like, this is not what?
What about Andre 3000, right?
Oh, with the flute record that he's jamming on flutes or whatever it's called. I mean, like, good for him. I mean,
because I can.
Yeah, why? Because I like making music. That's why. Hey, great. And there's a certain love I have for a band that'll just like we're gonna do Neil Young doing trance, right? Like I'm making a keyboard record with vocoder. Okay.
All right. Well, Metal Machine music, right?
Sure, absolutely.
It's still argued about was that like a prank on the record company or was that something he artistically believed in?
And you know what? You can make a strong argument for both, considering who it is. But no, I like how you get. So Rachel, real, not just a powerhouse singer, but has a lot of like style, right? She's got a lot of presence, in which is live and on the recording. So it's interesting because for some reason I had in my mind that like she's recorded with them before, and I was like, no, I guess not, and I didn't have that EP, so I guess technically it is true, but. There is something different from performing with someone and then like recording with someone. Mm-hmm. And so was there any surprises there at all? Or was it all just like, yes, this is exactly as awesome as I thought it would be?
I mean, I've done so many blues recordings and stuff. I discovered blues at the same time I discovered punk rock after, graduating from classic rock, when I was 12 or 13. And then by the time I was 15, I read one article about the tragedy of D. Boone's death, and then went down, and that was when Firehose was starting, and then discovered this like American punk thing, and then I was in a record store and got all this UK punk, and I was off and running, But because of all the blues stuff that I've done in the studio, I'm just so ready to. Oh, you want me to do it a completely different way? Okay. Right. Yeah. Most people, I think it's a real advantage of having. Some kind of roots blues jazz background that you can completely like have a producer go no like tear down, we're going to do it this way. For most people who come from pop and rock, like I mean the drummer and I who started the Claudettes both came from a blues and him a little more jazz background. The other ones have come from more Zach more from like Prince is his favorite artist in the world, but he also loves metal and funk and stuff, but nothing to do with like what I would have found into roots music, blues. I mean, in South Dakota, no one was playing blues records and jazz records in his scene where he was. So there's a little bit of panic when it's like, wait a second, I've got my muscle memory. I do it this way. This is that. I want to get the best take, but to ask me to like not just add a note or slightly change the phrasing, but to do something completely different is absolutely terrifying,
Sure. And that's something where, and that's some like real Wrecking Crew stuff too, right? Like, I mean, that's something that like, these guys were great at because they were doing it all the time. They're like, okay, let's do it this way. Right.
But to answer your question with Rachel, it's like, we were just texting right before this about a song that we're working on. And she's a little rightly confused about the verses. It's like, what's my sort of like motivation? Like, I don't know how to approach this because I can't tell if it's snarky or sincere or like what, like the choruses I get, but the verses. And so I'm asking her to like, let's have not only some patience and try to like be ready to fail over and over again until you hit on the thing. Cause I've said for years, everything is awful until it's awesome. It's like, there's no gradation, it's so terrible and we suck until you get it just right. You're like, oh no, we're the best ever. There's nothing in between.
And I feel like, boy, and that's something that like when younger folks are starting off like with a band or a podcast or whatever, it's like you really need to just be okay with the fact that you're not going to be as good as your ambitions are for a very long time, and you just have to do the work, and it'll be frustrating because you have this idea of what it is in your head, and you're like, I know what I want it to be, and you won't have the craft to do it yet, and you just have to keep doing it.
Did you grow up a Clash fan?
Oh yeah, of course, yeah.
You remember was it called the Vanilla Tapes, the whole second version of London Calling?
Yeah.
It was so illuminating to me because when I heard that, I felt like I just realized that the Clash are as great as their master takes. The second best take, if I heard it of that song, I'd be like, this band's okay.
That's fine. That's your first impression. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but Joe Strummer, like some of the stuff he does in the studio is downright silly and clearly like there's like some parts on London Calling where he's like laughing and guffawing and then and coughing, but then you hear another take where it's delivered, or Radio Clash. There's all these songs I love, and you hear the second best take, and it's just like this band is just okay, and these songs are just okay.
It's fine. Yeah, because it doesn't have that magic, right? It doesn't have that, and it's so fascinating that like understanding as an artist, understanding the totality of that, and like understanding like what flaws can be the feature. Like that is so intrinsic, I think, to being a good band to a great band. Because there's a lot of good bands out there.
You hear stuff that comes out like box sets or anniversary reissues that have previously unreleased takes or previously unreleased songs, and then 9 out of 10 times you go, I see why it was previously unreleased.
Yeah, maybe it should have stayed that way.
I mean, I'm a super fan of this. I am not a completist of any band. I would rather discover a new band any day than hear previously unreleased, inferior takes or songs.
You know what, man? I'm so with you. And something that anyone who's been in a tour van with me or just in a regular conversation with me long enough, I don't like the thing where they do these reissues and like, here's the record, and then at the end of the record, here's all the demos and stuff. I'm like, no, if I want to listen to that, and I don't, I will electively choose to go listen to that. I want to listen to the record as I remember it. And have that experience and not have to be subjected to like, here's a far inferior version of on 4-track. Okay, great. I mean, it's a long life. There's a lot of stuff to listen to. I don't need to hear that. And I guess I'm atypical that way because most people seem to really like it.
Oh, you're right. No, I know many completists, and I just there's really not a single artist that I'm a completist of at all.
You know what? I'm fine with being an aesthete instead of a completist.
yeah.
I'm totally fine with it.
Me too.
Yeah, but that comes across too because it's like and now these days like the whole thing, the influencer part of being in a band is like everyone wants to see the work in progress. No, I'm sorry, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to show you the finished product. How about that? That's a crazy idea.
You can find out how human I am by hearing the master take. It still comes through.
Right, exactly. Yeah, but it's just interesting sensibility. That's like, oh, that part just has to be open to the world. Really? Does it? Does it though?
Right.
I would argue that it doesn't.
Well, Rachel in the last, like there's that song that came from a Medium piece I wrote that Jeff Bezos wrote about David Pecker about being blackmailed by David Pecker's lawyer, and almost every line in that is directly lifted from this threatening letter that David Pecker's lawyer wrote to Jeff Bezos. And when I wrote the song, it was kind of good versus evil, hero versus villain. Now everyone is a villain. And,
it's a bunch of villains at each other.
Changed.
Yeah, exactly.
But Rachel came. Not only did she go absolutely bananas with some of her takes, but she came in with all these ideas of stacking vocals. So she does tons of preparation. She's from theater, and I think that was her first thing that she did. And I think she's very much used to like dress rehearsals and meticulousness of like that. And she does get a little bit out of her comfort zone if it's like we're going to really mix it up, try it this way, that way. But she does it, and it's no wonder to get frustrated when people are like no to a. When you're really laying it out there as a singer, it doesn't hurt my feelings and my pride when I play something on the stupid little keyboard instrument and you say, no, do it this way. But when you sing and you lay it out there, it's like a magic act of putting a voice out. It's like, how do you even find the pitch? It's just this weird bit of magic. Mine's the D is between the C sharp and the E sharp.
It's like, science. It's right there. Here it is.
So like I even though the process might end up, you might do some arguing, bickering, and there might be some tension. Everybody's so all in, and she in particular did. The vocal days are probably more my favorite than hers because she's like, now they're going to really put me under the microscope. You're going to tell me I was a little pitchy on that line. I'm like, what? I don't hear it. What? Let me come in there. I'm like, oh yeah. I don't envy it.
Well, it makes sense that she has a theater background though, because she does seem to approach things like from character almost, right? Like, okay, the character in this song is, doing this and trying to accomplish this goal and like is feeling these feelings and so on and so on. And there's a type of like theater kid mindset that doesn't work at all when it's moved over, and there's a type that does. And I think she's very much got the type that does. And I'm not trying to be reductive when I say that.
Agree. And if someone told me they wanted to be in my group and mostly have a theater background, I might just say hard pass. I mean, it's not. I'm like, I want it to come from your soul to the microphone. I don't want it to come from your soul to dress rehearsals and theater and like overacting and projecting your voice. Like, there's too much thinking in that, or something. And
exactly.
also,
notes per minute.
Musical theater is not up my alley at all. It's just sorry, but it's just not.
I try to be, I try to very much do the not for me thing for that, but boy, it's hard to not say more. That's all I got to say about it. It seems to give a lot of people joy, and good for them. Just keep it the hell away from me.
Well, which is why Waiting for Guffman is one of my favorite movies because
amazing.
Clearly they have love for all of their subjects.
Right.
Which might involve community theater or hard rock, aging hard rock band or a dog show.
Yeah.
But as much as they love it, and they just are like really twist the knife and they take all the cliches and they magnify them, and
it's because of the love that they're able to make it so deeply, darkly funny, because like it's coming from a place of real familiarity, right?
Yeah.
And it's sort of like you got to embrace like the wonder of it, and also the complete absurdity at the same time. And all those movies are fantastic because of that.
Yeah.
Writing lyrics. Have you always been like a lyrics writing guy? Have you, or did that come later?
I mean, not always, taking me back to my first bands when I was 13, 14, 15, not then, but Oh My God, Billy wrote the words and I wrote the music largely for a while, and then we started sort of sharing all of it, and by the time we got to this Interrogations and Confessions 2003 album, it was about 50-50, and then since then, I always have a journal on me, and if I like listening to people talk, but also just NPR, just people talking about things. And occasionally a phrase will come out that people said that might be awkward, or I felt like, wow, I could twist that upside down. And what a great lyric. And sometimes, a certain phrase someone says already has great rhythm to it. And that's a big part of it, like that's got good mouthfeel, I'll call it, And so I have a journal, and I keep that. And every once in a while I'll flip through and go, oh my God, I forgot I wrote this down. I might have written it down at like 1:21 a.m. before going to bed.
Right. And you have no context to it, but if it still works, it still works. Then...
Well, that no matter how much song came from a journal entry that was basically like, this magic potion, that's supposed to like solve my problems isn't working. This 100 proof Kentucky magic potion just isn't working for me. And then I'm just thinking of it as sort of from like a demented alcoholic of like, starting to blame it on this whiskey, and not revealing till toward the end of the song that the magic potion that's not producing results is hard liquor,
Right, and that can be, there can be some real kind of interesting, clever things you can do, just like twisting words around that way. It's like, oh, that's cool. That's like really neat.
Yeah,
and again, if you magpie that way, which I did the same thing, by the way. That's amazing. If I don't write it down immediately, gone.
Yeah. Like, and you're right. Just 2-3 word short little bursts like are great things to write down, because if you can connect with it again, it'll suggest a song and why is it that, and sometimes that has to do with the time, the zeitgeist, that you're in, and other times it does not at all. It's an eternal thing, but I tend to come from my journal when it comes to that, but about 50-50, I'll sit down at the piano and come up with some music and figure out what it sounds like it wants to be about, find a phrase that suits a word phrase that fits a music phrase, and grow it from there. And other times I'll have this whole idea in the journal, and then I'll flesh it out to all the words, and then I'll try to find music that seems to have brotherhood with the words. So half and half.
Yeah, and there's no wrong answer to it. I certainly, for myself, like I write lyrics and songs radically different than I used to when I very first started. But it's fascinating when somebody, I feel like a lot of the Claudette stuff it's comes out fairly fully formed at the end of it, but there's obviously a process that you go through with it. There's a winning down process, especially when there's like a narrative and like you're trying to you're trying to fit a lot in, but you're trying to make it like a song, not a homework assignment at the same time, right? I mean, that's kind of the key thing when you're a little loquacious, let's put it that way.
Right. Does it originate with a hook, or do you have an idea and try to make a hook out of it?
That's right. That's right. Yeah, and it's like, okay, there's no wrong approach.
Yeah.
And sometimes the most inane thing possible is like, that's actually really cool. Like, how was that cool? That shouldn't be that cool, but it is. And then certain times you're like, I love this. This is the best, and it just doesn't work.
Yeah,
that doesn't work.
Oh,
Why doesn't that work?
I'm sure your laptop or whatever device you're storing things on these days is such a sad graveyard like mine, where the folder of like 2024 to 2026 song ideas. And this is what I told Rachel too, now that we're working on songs together from the ground up, and she's sending me some voice memos, and I love it. I love that. I love the challenge of here's just a little voice memo and then turning into a song, or sending me a whole song idea and go, I have to confess, I'm not crazy about this part, but this part here, like that spoke to me. But my laptop is like, I told her, like, please don't be discouraged if I or you don't have a really positive reaction to a new song idea, because first of all, for every song I bring to the band, there's 4 songs that I did not bring to the band. And then for every song I bring to Rachel, there's at least another song that, like, pretty early on, we both or I just decide that, like, nah, don't love it.
Yeah.
And a lot of times it's just like, it sounds too riffy. The vocal part sounds like I wrote it on a piano. It doesn't feel like a vocal melody to me. That's a hard part. Or just like the concept seemed funny at the time, or whatever, many different reasons that the song just, at some point you sadly, put it out to pasture.
And sometimes it's like there's no clear answer. It just doesn't work. And you're just like, that just doesn't work. And I don't know why. And it doesn't matter. I'm going to move on. Yeah. But it's almost like you would not want someone forensically going over and like, oh, look at all these terrible song ideas.
Right. And make, what's wrong with this one? It's a great idea. I'm like, yeah, it is. It just doesn't work as a song. We tried every which way.
Yeah, it doesn't work. That's all it is. And
well, that's what people are saying about AI right now, is that it's attempting to remove everything we're talking about, which is what I think is a great way to spend your life, is to just be engaged with that kind of magic, mystery, and puzzle solving of turning one kind of notion, musical, lyrical, conceptual, whatever it might be, into a song, and then trying and failing with it. JQ and I, who do a lot of composing together, we both have say to each other, I don't know if what we're aiming for is going to be successful, if we'll find the success we want, but you know what? I will look back at this time that we're spending on it and say that's really a life well spent. All the time we spend on doing it is worth so much. And the idea of arriving at a finished thing without everything we're talking about seems quite sad to me.
It seems like you're just removing all of the things that make it worthwhile to a certain degree. Even if they seem hard or difficult at the time, like if it's worth doing, it's worth the destination is worthy than so is the journey. And it's like removing the journey is like, well, look, you can just teleport there now. I'm like, well, then I don't care. It doesn't matter. It means nothing.
You and I clearly are foreign to something that I think is common to maybe some actual working music producers or people who decide to get into music maybe for business or something, and go sitting back with a pen and going, I'm thinking kind of like a Joy Division or New Order kind of sort of like melodic darkness. I'm thinking analog synthesizers. I'm thinking of electronic drums, and then themes of melancholy, despair, maybe some German expressionism, and then feeding it into something and what comes out, and then you tailor it, and it's like, I just have never approached music that way. And I don't know.
It sounds like, it sounds insane to me, and it sounds like something that's like, I don't know, like that's not like, I'll go do something else if that's what it becomes, because that sounds horrific. You brought up, some of the composition stuff. The Bear, man. I mean, that's great stuff. All that stuff is so cool. Had you done anything on that level for something that like kind of became like so popular, like ubiquitous almost for a while, and then like I guess stayed around too long, and then people stopped caring about it, stopped getting nominated for awards, but people still watch it, and it's so interesting to be like, oh yeah. I know the guy that like did that. That's awesome.
Well, if I wanted to, I could say you could graph the success of the show with our involvement.
And suddenly it's on the decline.
But it's just that JQ and I were doing music for it when it began, and it was like a pilot, and then it was picked up, and then it took off. And I think in season 2, when the show really caught fire, so did we. And we made the music I made, I think, had a real impact on the nail biting quality of the show. And then it got so popular and their budget grew that they started becoming a soundtrack show.
There's a needle drop.
This key scene we're going to have. Well, it became English Beat and REM, but Wilco and Rolling Stones and AC/DC and Genesis. So once you have that budget, and JQ and I were sort of like, why not spend like $2,000 on us instead of $100,000 for that 15 seconds of music or whatever it was, And I also, there was a whole article about how they did the music supervising themselves, the producers of the show. And so they kind of put in there what they like, but they don't have that deep a well of like, there's some shows I watch and I'm constantly pausing and going, God, this soundtrack is incredible.
Anything T-Bone Burnett does, for one. That's like, he's the king of that. I'm like, oh my God, what is that? That's amazing.
I like Reservation Dogs. Reservation Dogs. So it's a great soundtrack.
So great. Great. And going for the deeper stuff, which isn't to discount anything the Bear did. I mean, they did that one, the one season where it was literally just like that, like one like super cool hook off of like the big Refused song. And they just kept doing that. Like, I want to. It's either an episode or for the entire season. I can't remember. But at one point they finally let it like resolve, and it was like, oh, that's especially if you know that song, it's like that's pretty badass. That's kind of like something people talk about but never do. Yeah. But yeah, I think that it's something where that's what people pay attention to, right? Because now we're in like the needle drop era and everything's like, oh, they use this in this song, and now that's they got this many plays on Spotify, and I mean people were talking about the Butthole Surfers because it was in that last episode of Stranger Things, and it was like, I texted Pinkus, I was like, hey dude, like everyone's talking about your band today. He's like, I know, man.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, they have been in the headlines a lot since then.
That's crazy. Yeah. I heard from so many people. I'm like, that's great.
Well, but my kid is 18 and he knows a bunch of stuff through just TikTok era.
Sure.
And so, I mean, of course, those kids would have not have known the Smiths or Kate Bush, but for TikTok,
Yeah, and it is cool to see things kind of get a new day in the sun.
Yeah,
because of recontextualization, and when people choose to do that instead of like, oh, you're doing a quiet acoustic minor key cover of a song everyone knows from the 90s, huh? Great. Like the 7,000 other movies that did in that preview.
Yeah, that's the thing
wonderful.
Now. Yeah.
So annoying. But I am a big fan of scoring. Like that's something where it's like a good score can elevate something to great heights, and a bad score can ruin it, frankly. And when I think of... And all the stuff you did, like especially for like I feel like that show was like 95% tension.
Yeah, that's fun too. Yeah.
But you want to do something where you ratchet it up, but you're not trying to exhaust people at the same time, right? So it seems like it's an interesting challenge because it's it isn't just like 80s action movie. Okay, I'm gonna do like a bunch of slightly echoey like Guitar Hero stuff, and then we're gonna call it a day. Where it's like, really, that's the soundtrack? That's the soundtrack. Okay. There's an artistry to it. So did you find that to be how fast were the turnaround times? Like how fast were you having to do this? How much lead time did you have for it? How much did you know what you were going to be scoring to?
JQ and I were uniquely well set up for it because we had a principle when we had our band Them Versus Them, which was around 2005. Which was, we had a concept that we're both busy people. He's very much in theater with his brother and this troupe he's been in that's been done some really great things. But he'd come over to my house. We'd say, we're going to work on a song today. He'd bring his physical drum machine and he would start messing around with some beats. I would have synths and keyboards there, come up with the bass line and then he'd start walking around the room. At the time he would be rolling a spliff, I remember. And we called it the Leslie Top session because I had my Leslie speaker that I used with Oh My God right next to the keyboards, and we'd have paper up there and pens, and we'd start going, okay, this sounds like it wants to be about this, or this phrase, like these syllables go well with that phrase. And we'd say, every time we get together, we're going to come up with a music and lyric concept, finish it, and make the demo of it, and it's done. And then we go on that. We will never spread it out over days. So if we got together 12 times, we had 12 songs.
And this is 2005.
Yeah.
That's Wow, because that's very much, I feel like, a modern sensibility of like something that'd be easier to accommodate and like maybe something that would more happen as a conceit now, right?
Our tools were just a drum machine, keyboards, and like a tape recorder or something,
Okay,
or a laptop. I think it's a laptop recorder out there. But so when this thing came along and they said we want this, they would put in a dummy music in a scene and say we want this kind of thing. And then there were other scenes that was not as so well articulated as that, but it was almost always we need it yesterday,
By the time it gets to you, it's already late. Yeah, exactly.
Well, yeah, I mean, I was stunned to find out. I didn't know that when a show airs in June, they're very often working on it on April 30th.
Yeah, I mean, that's crazy to think about.
Because I'm so used to in publishing, I worked in publishing for years, it's like everything's 4 months in advance.
Yeah.
It's like, and of course, when you're setting up an album, you're supposed to.
Oh my God, it's like 6 months. Right?
Yeah. Yeah. So no, this is like often like more like 6 weeks in advance. They're deep into the like still creation of it, not even like the final editing.
Yeah,
I mean, like filming it. So we were
That's
well
crazy.
set. It was not tense for us. And also, we have a very wide range of music that we've created and we listen to. So if they wanted it to be, ironically at the time, there was like Hans Zimmer notes, and now the Hans Zimmer Consortium is the one that does the new season. There's some like
Hans Zimmer Inc. Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty much. You're not kidding. I mean, that's
no, I know it very well, and I'm not a fan, frankly.
Yeah. Well, I read, with some shameful guilt, I read the Apple News and Vulture magazine piece about how the golden era of the show was when JQ and I were doing the music, and since then there's this sort of mindless, thoughtless, ambient music that's in there, and it doesn't have much to do with what's going on in the scenes. It seems it's almost just soundtracking music. I don't know.
Yeah,
Would JQ and I scratch our heads and be like, "What? Why would they stop? We had this down, But
I feel like that guy, especially when he was doing his own work, was good for a little while, but he really got high in his own supply. Let's put it that way. And it's sort of like if someone can just do an impression of you in about 30 seconds of what you do, maybe you shouldn't be the first on the call sheet. That's all I'm saying. Mm-hmm. I mean, even John Williams, John Williams does the John Williams thing, but you can't reduce him just to like 3 tropes.
Right. He also was like incredibly gifted with coming up with a melody we would know for 100 years.
like 7 times over, where it's like, when civilization has fallen completely, everyone's still going to, you're like,
that's
true. I know. That's Indiana Jones, right? Which good for that guy. I mean, hey. But it's, I feel like it lost some measure of appeal for me when that came in. But I thought you guys did a great job. I learned, forgot, relearned, forgot again, et cetera, et cetera. And then I was like, what? And to the point that I was like, something changed with this show. Like what? And I couldn't put my finger on it. I was like, well, maybe it's this, maybe it's that. I was like, I know what it is.
Yeah, there you go.
So there you go. But then I'm also the first one at any of these like cable TV shows that are on streaming, and it's like, all right, there it is. I know what exact music replacement they were doing that for. Where it's like you could just like, oh yeah, okay, they asked for that, and all right, they wanted that White Stripes song, and okay. So okay, yeah. So getting back over to like this record, to lyric writing, right? Because there's things where some of it's real. There's messages on some of them that you're trying to impart, and sometimes it seems like it's like you're telling a story, so on and so on. I found the whole "Don't Give It Up to the Thieves" thing very interesting. Like, I think that's a really interesting song for these times. How did that one come together?
I have a long intro when we do that one on stage. It came from just people that, when I was a kid, I'd hear older people talking about how a parking ticket is not a parking ticket. A road construction is not road construction. These are political acts perpetrated by our rivals and our enemies, and just always sitting around and finding something to just complain about and to dig for the hidden meaning. It was like way pre-MAGA even, the conspiracy theories. And at some point when I was not that old and I was still quite young, I think I realized not only do I not think these people are getting at anything, and I don't really want to spend my time thinking about what people are really after and what things are really about, and forget the surface. It's all this, this coven down here, but I don't think it makes those people happy who are doing that, who are constantly, you spend your whole life fretting, discussing what's bad, getting angry, and then your life's over. It's like, so I felt like a real gift would be to maintain your innocence and your naivete and be like I think about my young child when he'd be on a bed with shampooed hair with a book in front of him, and you're reading and you escape to this world of magic and wonder. And it's like what I just described there of saying what people are really after, is the opposite of that. It's like adulting, you could call it, a breed of adulting where it's just like cynicism and just spending the majority of your time telling people to do their research. And, it's just, it's such a drag. And I think it's such a misuse of this gift of life. So I think it feels like an urgent message, and it led to the end of it, the sort of second part of the suite that ends with the line, heaven, hell, and war are built on lies. There is no other side. There is no other side, meaning then there's, John Lennon's first line of Imagine, but also everyone is not your rival. To just constantly divide everything into like friends and enemies is just like, do we have to be so base?
Yeah, you're so right. And it's something, I think about that a lot as well. And I think that we live in very sardonic times where there's so much judgment and like very little curiosity about anything, where it's and if there is, it's like bad faith curiosity. Sure. It's done that with an agenda, and it's just like, wow, it's exhausting. And
it is. And I think that's the point is, it's exhausting to listen to. And I think it's exhausting for the perpetrators of it too. It's like, you just want to shake them and go, you sure you want to just be stuck on this road? Yeah. And then you're going to be old and sick. It's like, that's what you did during your young, healthy days. Like, can't you look back to like the roaring 20s or the hippie days and be like, just like sex, drugs, and rock and roll, man, have fun. Like have adventures and romance and take chances. And, when people say, what TV show should I binge? I say, you should binge on gin. Go out and get in a bar brawl. Like, don't sit on a TV on it.
Yeah, to be a passive, passive entertainment. You're consuming content, right? The content, the death of creativity, frankly. Yeah. And you're being put in this role yourself of non-engagement. I think to... like in Japan, right? It isn't like you're going to a show. It's like, oh, so-and-so is playing live. It's live. It's as in alive, as in this is an experience that you are going to, you'll be seeing, something happening that you will be a part of rather than like a show. And I think about that a lot because it is such a distinction, and the immediacy of that and the importance of these acts of immediacy and acts of creativity that transcend the doldrums, the gray gruel of every day, and remind us like, oh yeah, stuff's pretty cool. Like, we may be in a rough spot, but stuff can be pretty darn cool. It just really struck me. Like it was like, yeah, it is kind of like, you got to find like that childlike wonder and understand that, sometimes pragmatism is just cynicism, man. Like it's like, it's not always pragmatic to like pick the worst thing possible and focus exclusively on that. That's not pragmatic. That's called something else.
Yeah. And I have actually a new song I'm working on called Nobody Knows Where This Is Going. That's inspired by people I've met, people I know, people who just are always telling you which way the economy is going, which way AI is where it's taking us, what is going to happen to planet Earth. It's like there are people, that just tend to have the posture of knowing it and informing you. And I feel like everything is a curveball. There's almost no straight up fastballs. It's like you can't predict. So let's just get through it together and have a lot of fun on the way, because it's
and so much authority behind it too. Of just like, well, this is the way it is. Like, is it though? Like, is it? Yeah, that's just like your opinion, man.
Yeah, I very often will say that's your opinion when someone states something as a fact. I'm like, I disagree, and rather than argue my point, I'll just say yours is an opinion.
Yeah, precisely. Well, and that's it's interesting because for the most part, people are not looking for polemicism within their entertainment. You kind of almost have to like sneak it in, like give them the dog a pill and like you wrap it in the cheese or something along those lines. But I think there's a lot of point to. There's a lot of utility to using your own voice as an artist to espouse positive things. And I think we invoked Watt earlier. Think of the Minutemen, right? And think about like, the self-mythologization but still are things that hold true today because the poignancy and the truth of what they said, sometimes, I keep trying to talk to girls. I keep thinking of World War III. Jesus Christ. I mean, amazing, right? It's like, these are stuff. It's like, man, I was a toddler when that stuff came out, and it was like that still holds true. How is that still relevant? Amazing.
Was that on Buzz or Howl under the influence?
I think it's Buzz or Howl. Yeah, if I remember correctly. Yeah.
Oh, I know my Minuteman.
And it's and anything that. And I say that as someone, I love specificity, man. I love it. That whole like, Kurt Cobain. Oh yeah, it's your crossword puzzle. No, man, it's my crossword puzzle. It means this, this, and this. But I think that there's something to be said for when there's feeling and passion behind a message that comes through. Whereas like, hey, we're articulating. This sloganeering for, X, Y, and Z reasons. It's like, all right, we get it. It's just like, that's exhausting. Somehow that's, I wish you hadn't done that. I wish you just wrote a song about like, root beer or whatever was on your mind at the time. Because that would be interesting. And, there's a fine line with it, right? And there's a fine line between stupid and clever.
Yeah.
And it's that song just like jumped out at me. I was like, that is a really interesting, because it's an interesting concept, and it's where it's like, yeah, you do have to kind of find that unjaded part of yourself. Like you should take the effort to do that a little bit.
We were really glad that Rachel nailed that vocal take in just a couple takes, because she was like a like a bull in the pen there before it came out, because the song starts at 100.
It's really intense. Yeah.
I want you to I want you to consider becoming naive again, to reconsider feeling forever aggrieved, and then I want you to prioritize protecting your innocence. Don't give it up to the thieves. It just comes right out with it, and I think it's an active choice you almost need to make.
I agree, and it almost strangely, I thought the Mekons a little bit when I saw that, but just like with that kind of like, no, this is.
Well, you'll be on a bill with Watt soon. I'll be on a bill with Langford soon.
There you go. It all comes around, right?
So, nah.
Yeah. Neener na, listeners. That's what we're saying.
When is the show with Watt? Is that
the 5th? The 5th. We were of September. We were lucky enough. We went on tour with Red Cross in the spring, and we did 4, definitely 3, maybe 4 shows with them that were warm-up shows. Like, oh yeah, warm-up shows playing with like, Double Nickels on the Dime is like one of my top 5 listened to records of all time.
Still for me.
Yeah, still exactly. And it's like, oh yeah, those are our warm-up shows. What a world,
You know what's really exciting is I will share it with. I play in this band with 3 27-year-old musicians, 2 of which are like African-American, Wisconsin-based blues musicians. And the bass player now plays with Marvin, which is like a jazz rock band. Okay. But they're 27 and they did not know this music, but I played them tracks from Double Nickels on the Dime and they loved it. They flipped for it. It's somehow, because as I said, this is the sound of joyful musical discovery by people that were just like on fire. Yeah. And that does not ebb at all,
And that gets across. Even if the context, even if you don't have the context, even if you don't, have the curriculum vitae, if you will, it's still going to get across, and that's that. I find something very enheartening about that.
Yeah, isn't that? Yeah, it's just lightning in a bottle, And when I talked to Watt on his podcast a few weeks ago, and he literally stopped the podcast like 3 times because it was so hard for me not to talk about and ask about Minutemen, and he made it very clear that's not what this is. Because everybody would do that.
Well, exactly.
I said, is it true that Double Nickels on the Dime, that triple or quadruple, whatever album it is, was written, rehearsed, and recorded in 2 weeks, and he said no. But that's about how much he wanted to get into that.
That was the sum totality of what he wanted to engage with it at that time. No, but then also, like I can't even remember. There was some innocuous comment like Dwayne made backstage about who plays in my band about something, and then we got like this incredibly, I could not possibly do it justice. This incredibly winding adventure, 10, 12-minute Minutemen story. Where I was like, oh my god, like. You've been on my show. How have you not told that story? This is incredible. But it was just off of like one innocuous comment, right? But it's just, I get to do whatever he wants, is what I say.
Well, I read This Band Could Be Your Life, but he should definitely also write a book at some point.
Oh my God, yeah. Oh yeah.
And I'm saying, take me into the studio, please. Take me into your practices. Take me into, because I feel like Hurley is not talked about enough. I mean, he was who played like that in that scene.
I know, right? I mean, he's such a badass and like so iconic. I mean, like just like I have used Hurley as every once in a while I've seen a drummer say, oh, you're kind of like a George Hurley kind of style, and without a doubt everyone's like, I don't know who that is. I'm like,
right, I know. Which they used to say he's got a Cobham thing, a Billy Cobham thing. That was his guy that they said.
That's right. That's right.
But he was correct when I know there was a movement to have them remix Double Nickels on the Dime, and I think there was talk of it, and then it got shut down as like, no, you can't. Like, I think that about Husker Du records. They kind of arguably sound like garbage. Like,
dude, my guy, can I tell you, I was a big Sugar fan pretty early on, but it took me a while with Husker Du, and it's only because how weird the records are. And eventually I was like, oh no, I really dig this, but it's like, what was going on in the mixing process?
Like Flip Your Wig. I was listening to Flip Your Wig. I'm like, these drum sounds are weird and kind of just awful, like objectively terrible. But I feel like if they went into a really hi-fi studio and recorded them, and I'm like, I bet I wouldn't have liked it as much.
Maybe it wouldn't have, because it is perfect for what it is. But it's absolutely insane that those records are that good when they sound that bad. I'm sorry, Greg Norton. We've talked about it on the show, but they sound bad. They sound bad. I'm sorry. There's taste and there's good and bad, and that is definitely like. I mean, I can't think of them any other way at this point, and it shouldn't. But
like, is that what you guys meant? I'd love to ask. Because did you want it to like, or were you like in a haze and you work with like a local engineer who just had a weird, dumb way of recording and miking and stuff or something? But
I mean, most of it was Spot, but. Yeah, I mean, he's very diplomatic about it, is what I'll say. But I get the feeling that's not the first time he's heard that.
Yeah.
And I've noticed that the Ultra Bomb stuff does not sound anything like that as well.
Yeah.
And also, if you'll notice, both Grant and Bob got into producing as well. I don't think Flip Your Wig was a Spot record, but I know I want to say
Zen Arcade.
Maybe New Day Rising.
I love New Day Rising. Oh my god!
Yeah, New Day Rising. Spot did that one. I'm ironically spot checking myself, and yeah, Zen Arcade. I'm just gonna check. Yeah, exactly. But I think it's something where, yeah, they're bad records. No, they're great records, but they're bad sounding records. Honestly, Gang of Four, one of my favorite bands of all time. That first Gang of Four record, objectively weird sounding. Weird sounding record.
Kind of otherworldly in its own way, though, like those drum and cymbal sounds in particular. Like, were those like metal cymbals? Because that sounds like some weird, like, digital thing or something.
Yeah, no, it's so strange. And I had Hugo on the show, and I even brought it up, and he was like, "Oh, okay." And I guess I won't dig any deeper on that, but I think it sounds like from Mars when I first heard it. I'm like, what is this?
If we heard somebody professionally miking and delivering us the sounds, we might go, I don't like this record anymore.
Yeah, right. Well, exactly. Well, they did that. I think some of it was for Rights Issue. It was Return the Gift that they did in early 2000s.
Right.
And all of the songs that were from Solid Gold and from the first record, I was like, yeah, it's fine.
It's
fine. But the two songs that they did that were off of like I think Hard or whatever, like one of those 80s records, I was like, these sound great. These sound really good. Those ones sounded good, but the ones that are the weird shiny records that we think of and have heard so many times, it was like, I guess it sounds better.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah.
I'm not going to listen to this version though.
Yeah, no, it's true. Yeah.
So it's interesting how that works, and familiarity, and that being like the back and forth with the actual the listener and the artist, so on and so on. Tell me about Mr. Pecker, because I figure there's no way to get out of that without anything elegant. So I'm just going to go with the most jarring thing possible.
Well, yeah, just somehow somebody had posted about this Medium piece that Bezos wrote, which was just that he was amused at this attempt at blackmail, where the publisher of National Enquirer newspaper wanted to blackmail Bezos because Pecker came from Trump world, and Bezos had, as the owner of the Washington Post, had published something that angered Trump, so he wanted a retraction in exchange for which he wouldn't release photos of Bezos with a woman who wasn't his wife. And I'm like, instantly, I'm like, rock opera. I mean, it's like single song of rock opera where there's a lyric in it that says, "You penetrated said garment while you wore your wedding ring."
I mean, amazing.
And I was like, there's that. I don't have to write. I don't have to absorb that into a line. That's the line.
That line's done. Yeah, exactly.
Thank you. Well, oh my God, on tour when we were in England, had our poster that we sent over there that had Billy holding the bass back behind his head and his chest was painted black. And the press quote said, "Oh my God, use their equipment in such a way as to cause it to ignite and burst into flames," which was from the deposition from a Chicago lawyer when we were accused of burning down a practice space. So it was the lawyer who was trying to sue me for burning down the whole practice space. From his deposition was, "Oh my God, use their equipment in such a way as to cause it to ignite and burst into flames." I'm like, there's the tour poster quote.
I mean, yeah, does that get any better than that? No,
yeah, I'm leaving the LA Weekly quote out of this, and I'm using Jared B. Staver, attorney at law. So yeah, Mr. Pecker's lawyer in his clumsy blackmail letter delivered me that lyric, and Bezos, to his credit at the time, was like, rather than entertain any kind of like, I don't want my wife to know about this, he just published the entire letter in his piece. You know, like, here's what this guy said to me for a blackmail letter. It's like, I'm a little above blackmail. But so yeah, and then Rachel just went all the way with as Oh My God was once described in the Chicago Reader. Rachel went over the top of over the top, with her delivery of it, complete with the opera stacked vocals at the end. But I had nuts on it. Yeah. I referenced Gang of Four for the boom, 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 it has this, and Michael recorded those drums at home, and I think he just squished the heck out of them. I don't know what he liked to use boxes and just compression and just make, so whatever he came up with for those sounds, I love, which is very Gang of Four. I think.
I totally hear that. Absolutely. No, there's a few nods in here to class. I mean, there's kind of a CCR sound in bit. I can't remember what it was saying.
Oh well, Touch You Back specifically starts with a Rachmaninoff melody, and then there's Kraftwerk, bump 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 on the bass, and then we have Doors in the middle, bum bum dun 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 dun, and then we have Zombies with the
yeah.
So we have and then there is a CCR boom ba ba. So we had 5 complete absolute quotes and shout outs within that too.
It all seemed very intentional, and it did not seem like it was an accident in any way, shape, or form. And so that's and that's kind of the sort of thing that you don't have to know any of that to enjoy the song. It's just if you do, you're like, hey, is that? Wait, is that?
Well, that's what the Simpsons are all about. Right. When I was young, I remember seeing the line where Nelson the bully says, "Hey, look at Sergeant Dork over here." That seemed funny on its surface, but it was also based on a movie called Sergeant York, which is an old British movie. So it's every joke is 2 jokes. It has to be funny without knowing the source material. But yeah, music can be the same way, where there's a wink and a nod, but also do you enjoy it in its own right?
Sure, exactly. And again, I think some of the more clever writers in music, you'll be able to do that. You can engage with on multiple levels, and if you are the kind of person like, oh, all right, yeah, Warren Zevon, that's another one, where it's okay, I got it. Yeah, very clever, very good. Okay.
Right. Oh yes, quite.
Well, I got the song, not my band, but an Action Chief. It's called "The Idea of Warren Zevon," and I so named it because I am fascinated by Warren Zevon. I'm interested in him, and I seem to like everything about him except for most of the music. Which I think is fine.
I've often been heard to say, man, I really do like everything about this musical artist except for the way they sound. But I love
Except
how
for
they
the
touch me. You know, yeah.
So that is the idea of Warren Zevon, because I went on about it enough that I was like, let's
that's
make that
good.
a song. I'm like, oh, okay, sure. But it's something where it's like that's, it's to everyone's taste. Like, they might be giants, right? They're not going to be for everybody. Like sometimes it's a little bit too much.
Well, I mean, there are some famous artists that I just don't really like. I just can't really listen to, and by naming them, I just tend to offend large groups of people who, again, don't recognize this is an opinion. It doesn't mean you're wrong. It doesn't mean I'm an ass. It just means like the way it makes me feel when I hear it is not a way I want to feel. And I could name them, but it will enrage a bunch of people.
Yeah, it's not even worth it. I mean, I expressed what I felt like it was a fairly mild critique of the Strokes that was based in how I felt as a touring musician at that time. And you would think I just killed someone's dog from the conversation I was having.
It was your bigger than Jesus moment.
Right, exactly. I was like, oh, I should have just kept my mouth shut, I guess. I mean, let you have it, but okay, sorry. I mean, more Strokes music for you, I guess. Is what I gotta say. I feel like there's a very first of all, the word Lynchian is completely overutilized, and certainly in anything involving film. But Aftermath, I feel like, is kind of like, it feels like it would slot nicely with the Badalamenti world, the Badalamenti cinematic universe.
I've said that, and I feel that even though I'm not really a particular Lynch fan all that much.
Oh, really? Okay.
I mean, I never watched Twin Peaks. I actively disliked Blue Velvet when I was a teenager. I haven't seen it since, and that era of it. I like The Elephant Man, and I like the one where the guy goes to visit his brother on the tractor.
Straight Story is great. Yeah.
I like those. I just like the sort of, as Mo Sizlak once said, calling something weird for the sake of weird. There's some of Lynch stuff hit me that way early on, and I think I just formed a slight arm crossing. But no, I'd be upsetting Zach in the band because he's a massive David
He's a big fan, yeah.
I get it. And well, he had a bit part in some show. Maybe it was Louis C.K. before he got canceled.
Because he did have not one but two brilliant shows before it turns out, oh, by the way, he's a complete super creep. Okay. Well, that sucks.
That's why we can't have nice things.
Exactly.
But I've thought that that is like a lost David Lynch kind of track. And it also seems to be from Beyond the Grave and, the lyric in the song. But I really love that one. I mean, and Michael, the drummer, he did record boxes on the ground.
Yeah.
I wanted it to be. I actually, when I sent the band the demo, I had. I'm a huge Ultravox fan. The John Fox.
Oh yeah.
And there was a song called Hiroshima Mon Amour that I love so much. And it's
which is which they got the title from the movie the
60s. Yeah,
I can't think of his name. French New Wave guy.
Movie.
He's a French Japanese fella.
Oh, right. But the song has like what sounds like a programmed organ patch for drums, but I slowed it way down to and then Michael recreated it to sound like something digital, but he literally was hitting different boxes, and he has his own home studio, and for that one he did a great thing, and I loved it. Then it proved kind of hard to EQ with the songs. Sometimes the engineer will look at me and go, where do you want the low end from in this song?
Right.
You can't have it everywhere. That big box can't be super bassy, and there's bass guitar, and you're playing left hand of the piano, you're killing me.
You're blow out everyone's speakers.
You have to get low cut in everything but one thing. You pick the thing. I'm not doing it. I'm just, if you're paying me to produce,
What's more important to you?
Yeah. And that could be arranged. I played this big low octaves on the piano going as far as low as you can go on the piano. Yeah. And Zach played a bass 6 out of my Leslie that I brought, my Leslie amp that I went anyway out of a Leslie. And he turned around in his chair the same way. Okay, where's the low end from this song? It's confusing, and again, you have to pick, and it sounds different which one you pick.
Right.
Try the low end, But Aftermath, we had a really cool combo of acoustic piano. I added a bunch of little very subtle synth things. Rachel's great vocal, and on that one, Zach does the. I think very often he'll take the bass 6 and he'll break it in the studio into bass guitar parts and guitar parts. It just seems to record better that way. I don't know. Bass 6 is kind of a live solution. And
it really is. Yeah. It's the only time I feel like bass 6 really works well on recordings if that is the only melodic instrument. And I hate to say it that way, but like it gets muddy. It muddies up the other frequencies. I don't know why.
It's almost like miking the low speaker of a Leslie. It just sounds when you listen to that channel, it just sounds like mud.
Yeah, it's like flappy, and it's a shame because it's such a cool instrument, and I like it live a lot, but I don't just
that's true. We agree on this.
Yeah, I don't know what it is, but yeah, maybe that's why they never caught on. I don't know.
So where did we play together?
Oh, that was an Oh My God. That was with Hi-Fi at Cactus Club. That was my old band Victory and Associates. That must have been 2012.
Wait, what do you mean by Hi-Fi?
Oh, If I Had a Hi-Fi. That's a.
Oh wait, I know that. What's the name of the guy I know from Milwaukee? That
DJ.
Yeah, Hostetler, right?
Yeah.
So that was your bandmate?
No. I didn't live in Milwaukee then. I was still a touring band, but I've been playing shows with that guy since 2002.
Okay, so that was the connection.
Yeah. So we were there on tour. I don't remember what we were doing, but we were there on tour, and there's a great poster of it. I think I still have it.
Oh, cool. Those were fun nights there. Those were fun nights at Cactus Club. Do you know the poor? I'm sure you do know this. The poor woman who bought it immediately before COVID came.
Kelsey, yeah, dude. I went to a city council meeting to kind of like like help expedite like one of those like permitting things that they were doing. And yeah, it was like right before COVID hit. But she's done an amazing job with it. They all have.
Is it actually different in there?
No. I mean, not in any ways that like would change the feel of it. Like it's more inclusive now. Like they have they do all ages stuff as well. And they've worked really hard to do that. And they have like events that are non-musical events during the day, craft spaces, things along those lines. But no, we're actually doing it's the first time we're playing Milwaukee since March of last year before we went to Japan. But we're doing a very delayed record release there on the 12th of September. And I'm really excited about that because it's been a while. Nice. I like that place a lot. And I love that it's managed to maintain, it's pretty consistent. Yeah, I want to say it's 2012. I think is when we played Oh My God, and that was like the first time I had heard of you guys because I was like, who's that?
Those were I don't even remember we played that late. That was
you had been away for a while and came back and played shows, if I remember correct. This is like 14 years ago. This is mine, right? I mean, Jesus Christ! Like, remember it happened 14 days ago.
I almost want to correct you and say it had to be pre-2011, but I could be wrong. I thought maybe our last shows were 2010, 2011, something like that, but it doesn't matter.
We'll get our top researchers on this.
Historians disagree, as we say.
Exactly. I mean, I could go dig up the poster. I mean, that's probably the easiest thing to do. I still have it. It's a good poster.
Oh, yeah, that probably doesn't have a year on it.
No, I always. That's a Conan Neutron thing. Posters always got to have the year on it.
Oh, you actually inscribe it yourself? Okay.
No, I had to make sure the artist does whenever.
Oh, I see.
I asked for it in there.
Sense. Actually, I see that. Yeah.
Because I use like artificial memory sometimes, especially when it's like a venue that we've like played a bunch where it's like, I don't know what year was that. I don't look at the poster.
Oh, I like it. Carbon dating.
Anyway, this is the most niche part of the conversation yet, which is deeply impressive. But yeah, there's. Oh, yeah. So, we're talking about the aftermath, right? So tell me about the. We've talked about the homages, but the song with all the. Wait, I can't think of the name of it right now. I should have had it open.
Tell me about it, and I'll tell you.
the one that has the Creedence part and the.
I'll touch you back.
Yeah, touch you back. Thank you. So I was gonna say it's real easy. I'm gonna be mad at myself, and yes, I was. So it's how that all come to pass, and what came first, the rest of the song, or like to like when somebody check this out, I'm gonna do the Kraftwerk thing, or I'm gonna do check this.
I think I just Rachel had just started playing with us, and I just the main verse part, the bass line and the chords I did on the piano, and then found myself doing something that I thought was kind of Burt Bacharach-ish in the chorus, very, very lush, kind of classical-esque parts in the chorus. And then as it just developed, for some reason, I think I just, when I got to a certain part, I started hearing in my head, I programmed my home computer, And then within the chord changes, I made sure, even though it had a bluesiness, I'm like, I'm not going to the 4 here. That's not happening.
Yeah.
So I just moved it up to the minor third and moved it, and I'm like, oh wait, and then it found a kind of a Doorsy thing. And then in the studio, actually, Michael had this idea of going all the way through the song, just go to a microphone. You just heard that. He was very good at not just assigning that to a shaker or a hi-hat or tambourine, but going, no, I hear that as a mouth. So once he started doing that, I said, what about, and I had the time of the season thing, which, when we recorded the album Dance Scandal at the Gymnasium with Mark Neal, who is best known for the Black Keys Brothers album, he had everything analog, and he was very proud of his real plate reverb, and he used it copiously on that record. And there was something we did there where I think someone went like, and it just sounds so glorious through this real old big plate reverb. And so since then, I do like to have opportunities to expand on small sounds turned huge, oceanic like that with plate reverb. I do love Percussion Day, where we tend to take floor toms and put them in a room with a high ceiling and just finish every 4 bars with a brum. And then you just have this like swashbuckling moment,
Just like a big bombastic, yeah.
You might not even know what it is, but it just seems like it just makes you feel like take a deep, inspired breath then and be like, it's good to be alive out here under the Montana sky or something, It's like,
right.
That's the cinematic part. That part I love in the studio is just little flourishes. You don't even know what they are, but they just expand moments,
Right. Yeah. I was on a different show talking about Wire Pink Flag. And I was talking about how at the end of, I can't remember the name of the song right now, but like it's flute is what it is. But like, okay, it's like one of those things where you would never in a million years think that that's what it is. But it's like, oh yeah, why would a flute show up on a Wire record, right? And it's like, oh, it's perfect though. It makes this weird like kind of noise that it's kind of haunting in its way.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's a track that gets super psychedelic at the very end of
That's
it.
Right. Yeah.
It's not strange, is it?
Yeah, I think it might be strange. I should really.
I love that record so much. I saw them at Metro do that whole record top to bottom.
Fantastic.
It was very, very good.
My favorite Wire record is now and always probably shall be Chairs Missing, but there's a lot to love with the
154's got to be in the top few though.
154 is great. You know what record I think is great? That freaking comeback record in the early 2000s.
Ideal Copy.
Yeah.
I have the Ideal Copy
is great too.
and a Bell is a Cup on vinyl downstairs, my original copies.
Change Becomes Us, also very good. That was like them kind of.
Well, I heard recent Wire and it sounded great. They can't stop.
They're great. I mean, it's consistent. It's
the ultimate example of just like Gang of Four and Talking Heads of this phenomenon of the art school band.
Right. Yeah.
Absolutely. Art school kids, and maybe there's something to it. I don't know. Professional musicians sound very boring a lot of the time.
Well, and that's something that talking about that record was interesting because. The things that were so jarring about Wire at the time, because remember, like that record came out like 2 months after Nevermind the Bollocks came out, which is insane to think about. There's been so many things that have been just internalized with the song structure, what they've the minimalism of what they did with song structure, and what can you do to make things. Don't overplay whatever. That part's done now. Okay, great. Moving on. Next song.
I think what you're trying to say is Jamicano.
Right, exactly. Jamicano. Yeah.
They credited Wire Minutemen did specifically. And when I bought my first, it was called Play Pop. It was some kind of compilation on vinyl I bought in a record store. Yeah. It had a Peter Buck quote on the cover, like a sticker. Yeah. Like REM celebrated them just as
sure. REM loved them.
They did Strange, right?
I believe they did cover that one. Yes,
and they did Television. It's funny. It's great to discover bands that way. You have to go back in time.
It is Strange, by the way, that has the flute. I was gonna like wake up in the middle of the night being like, it's Strange. Yeah,
happy to help.
So good.
Now I'll have to listen to it again though, and listen for the flute because I didn't put that together.
Right. I mean, it's always nice to be able to find new things that are new and interesting about even stuff you're already familiar with. Like it's still there's always something new to be amazed at, which is lovely.
Plus, best drummer name ever, right?
Oh, Robert Goodbad. And it wasn't even like a punk rock nom de rock. That's what I love so much.
What do you mean? That's his name?
So Robert Gray, apparently it was Go to Bed was the family name, and it got anglicized to be Gray, and he went back, and I'm like, you're kidding me. Because I always had said that's one of the greatest nom de rocks of all time, right?
I mean, you get Joe Strummer and Mike Watt. It's like, damn, I need one of these.
Speaking of two guys like on this show that both have great nom de rocks, I might add. But I was flabbergasted when I learned that. I was like, what? My whole life's been a lie.
I'm very happy. I did not know. I figured it was just being cheeky, having a laugh.
Yeah, exactly. What's like the most post-punk thing possible? Oh, go to bed. Everyone else.
Punk was daytime. Now it's bedtime. It's
yeah, exactly. We're past our bedtime, people. All right. So the record's really cool. I think this is actually a pretty good introduction for your band if people were kind of less than familiar. I think it's got like a lot of things I think that you guys do well, but it's not just the one thing as well, which is always good for me. Anything else on the record that you want to get out while we're in this great freewheeling Protonic reversal that we do?
No, we went through a lot of it, and we're actually recording in September. We're doing exactly what I said, which is we're recording 5 songs in about 7 or 8 days. We're going to give ourselves time. I'm less and less interested in seeing how like absolutely ultra double mega efficient we can be, and I want to get a good take, and I want to have my vintage JX3P synthesizer there to think what else can I add to this because it records so well. I want to have lots of percussion opportunities. So we're just doing 5 songs then, and then it'll either be its own release or more likely we'll find 3 other songs in a couple. Actually, we already have again another 5, but these are 5 that I'm like, these 5 I want to do these 5. So as much as Garage Glamour is the album of the moment, and we're playing all those songs, I love it. We wouldn't exist if we weren't having practices all the time, working on new stuff and introducing them to the set list. Because I know people want to hear what they know, and people come to see us, and we'll do that. But the lifeblood is something new that you're excited about.
Right, and if that stops, then you may be a very efficient jukebox, but at some point you're a jukebox.
Yeah, or a county fair band.
Yeah, right, exactly. It's like freaking Slow Ride is next. And I think that's interesting, and I think that you got it's been fascinating, like to hear the origins of it, because I feel like on one hand it was kind of all there from the beginning, but on the other hand it's like grown into this more expansive world of what you do. There's really leaned into almost being curious about what it can do, right? You being curious about what it can do and then exploring that and then finding like, oh, okay, so we can kind of go down this way over here, and this will like lead to something interesting, even if we don't necessarily know what the result of that is going to be. And
one of my favorite quotes, and one I share often, including with band members, is somebody asked Duke Ellington, how did you have all those chart hits? Like the most inane question you can ask like an absolute towering musical genius giant.
Right.
How did you score all those chart hits?
Yeah.
And in typical Duke fashion, he proved himself a genius yet again. And he said, I just looked around at whoever I had in my band at that given time, and I said, what do these guys do well? And I think that's so crucial, because you might say, hey, we're a band that leans Latin, and we're going to do bossa nova rhythms and everything. And then you get a new drummer who sucks at that, but is great at this other thing. Right. And you go, you know what? You better pivot or just kind of give it up, because the greatness of you comes from maximizing the greatness of the people you have with you at any given time. And you have to recognize rhythmically, in terms of pitch and phrasing, what are sweet spots and what are not among yourself. Because I have things I feel like I'm a dominant player, and I have way more things that I'm like, I don't know how to do that. Like I can't play My Funny Valentine in E flat with a fake book in front of me with jazz high schoolers. I don't know how to do that. People think I'm like jazzy. I might have jazzy like chords. I've always called it Ouija boarding and move around until I find the right chord. It turns out it's a 9 with a sharp 11. Whatever, and I know all those chords. I play them all, but like to solo across them and be modal, like it's not something I do. And so whoever you're playing with that's singing or carrying rhythm or playing bass, like you better believe that they unless they're Stevie Wonder or something, they do have weak spots, and you want to avoid them, and you want to figure out, wait a second, this person has a preternaturally great fast punk beat. Like we don't have to be punk, but that beat can be applied different ways.
You
Let's
can use
beat.
it, and yeah, absolutely. Well, and that's wonderful too, because the opposite is also true. Like when you find people like, well, doesn't seem like they can do that, but they're not very comfortable there. That doesn't seem like that's bringing them any like entertainment value. So they're going to play it real safe and like, well, you can do that, but like, why don't we just do something that you want to do?
Yeah, if everybody's really digging in, it's going to probably. I mean, our favorite bands, I think, were everybody they're playing to their strengths.
Yeah, oh, absolutely,
and avoiding the weaknesses.
That's.
I saw Meryl Garbus, Tune Yards, who I love.
Yeah.
I saw her on a late night show like Jimmy Fallon or something with the Alabama Shakes woman who sings.
Oh, sure,
and
yeah.
They got requisitioned to be like backup doo-wop singers in some like comedy musical thing. It didn't sound good at all. And I'm like, see, this is what you get when you get absolute dynamos, killer, amazing singer musicians, and do something where you just take them out of their element and do something else. It's like, it was just an example to me that, like, again, there's very few examples of people, even within jazz, you could say they might be really, really swinging, but they're not really good at bopping, and vice versa. They're an experimental musician who could or could not have been a straight ahead swinging musician. Maybe they could, maybe they do the experimental thing or the avant-garde thing or the free jazz thing, because that's more what they can do, and I guess Picasso could paint real literal landscapes and chose not to, but other people that are abstract artists, that's the thing they can do, but they can't really do it a literal landscape.
Well, the saying I always say is like, it's like you spent all this time and energy putting a cat in a dog costume. You could have just gotten a dog.
Yes.
It's not what it is, and that's fine. Like I think musical growth, artistic growth is as much knowing what you're not good at as what you are.
Oh, yeah.
And sometimes it's a matter of, I need to work on that part of the craft. Or sometimes like, no, man, I'm just no good at that, and I don't want to do it.
Well, I'm sure we both heard singers that at some point the devil in you wants to say, have you heard yourself?
Yeah.
Like you're still doing it after all these years. It's almost like a habit or something.
Yeah. I'm no Pavarotti, but I'm here to tell you maybe that's not the thing you should be doing.
Yeah, I mean, I met with this guy who was a comedy writer for like awards shows, and I think he wrote for Second City. He wrote for all these things. When I wanted to do that, when I graduated college and moved to New York City, and he met with me and he said, I read your stuff, and I'm going to tell you, like, if you weren't funny, I would say, like, have you considered accountancy? But you are funny. But I'm also here to tell you that why would you want to ruin your life? Don't get into this business. It's heartbreaking. It's brutal. Yeah. It's like so competitive, and it's almost impossible to make a living. Like, don't do it. But you are funny, But I've thought that ever since then, as certain people would be singing, and maybe been singing for 15 years, and I'll feel a little bit like, have you considered accountancy?
Maybe this isn't for you.
Yeah. I mean, and of course, there are lots of people I would say are very amateurish musicians in a way that make great sounds, and I love them. I'm not saying you have to be
a
Juilliard musician. Many of my favorite musicians are arguably amateurs, but they're great artists, and I love Nick Cave so much. He makes me cry so much. I love that sound he makes. Like, he's not like, he couldn't have made the opera.
Yeah.
And you think the same way about guitar players.
And Jim Scalvianis is like, he's always flat.
Yeah.
That's the first thing he says, and it's like, well, that's his thing, though. He made that his thing. And when I think of some of my favorite vocalists, it's like, it's not that they're note perfect in every way, but there's a character to what they're doing that allows you to forgive that. Like why is it okay when Bob Dylan, I'm sorry, objectively has it like not a great singing voice, but he is the best Bob Dylan of being Bob Dylan. And sometimes it's like, well, that doesn't work for me at all. But like, I mean, more often than not, it does. Neil Young, right? Is Neil Young a fantastic singer? Not really. Not really, but he does the Neil Young thing.
Stills Nash and Young, he's doing his part in those harmonies, though.
That is true. He's better than people give him credit for.
Yeah.
But some of my favorite singers, it isn't necessarily that they're singing the best, but they're digging down deep to make who they are and what they are, and putting that forward in the best way possible. And that's the kind of thing that I think they need to, the youngins need to learn about when they, because I want to learn technique. I'm like, don't worry about the technique. That'll come. Find a voice. Voice first. Have
soul, be your true weird self, and be ready to to admit who you are, and it's a pretty good path toward greatness.
Yeah, and it's more fulfilling, frankly. It's way more fulfilling. So it's like, yeah, come on. Anyway, whatever. Just giving advice to kids now. You guys are wild busy. You have been wild busy. I know you had a bunch of stuff coming out at the time of this recording. I know you've got some stuff coming up for. You got that with the Eaton Park Fest, right, going on in Madison, and you got some bunch of tour dates. There's like some stuff Iowa, Michigan, Berwyn, right, at the Fitzgerald's thing.
Yeah. And then you're going to your native. I don't know if you're a native out there, but you're going to your old stomping ground, the West Coast, and I'm going to mine, the East Coast.
There you go.
We're both transplants to the Midwest.
I know.
Came here against all odds.
Yeah. Do people go to you? So why did you move here? Because people did that for me for years, and I'm like, don't sell yourself that short. Come on.
Well, I now consider New York. I moved from New York City. I consider New York a great place to visit, but a great place to live. But I wouldn't want to visit there because it's so stressful coming through with a van and like that, and backline and parking But
it is a unique challenge that I've done many times. It is like, I wouldn't wish this on an enemy, frankly.
I'm about to do it again. But last time we went there, we got out of the Holland Tunnel, and I instantly was routed through construction back to the Holland Tunnel in New Jersey again. And I said, nope, not today. And I left traffic and I drove through a construction site to avoid that happening. So, yeah, it is stressful. But I thought I was going to be out here 2 or 3 years because I moved out to join the Junior Wells band when I was 15.
Which we didn't even talk about, which is a huge part of your life. I mean,
Junior Wells and Mike Watt and Joe Strummer were my 3 biggest heroes when I was a teenager. Mike Watt slept at my house, and Mike Ben, oh my God, opened for him at Double Door, and I joined the Junior Wells band, and oh my God, was on a short list to open for the Mescaleros at Metro when he died. I think we were going to open for him. I know. I almost completed the triumvirate there.
Yeah, man.
But I thought I was going to be out here 2 or 3 years, but that was 94 when I moved out here.
Yeah, it turns out it's a bit longer.
Chicago's been a very, very good place to be. I couldn't imagine now, as I have a practice space in my house. I have a van and a car in the garage. I have my own backyard space. A lot of good nightlife, culture, and food here. It's like, I don't know. Plus, good old climate change means the winters aren't as bad.
That's right. Yeah, exactly. The upside to climate change is catastrophe.
Yeah, the way I can use it.
Can I say, last time I played in New York, drove right up to the venue, got parking right up front, and I was flabbergasted.
See, you took my breath away.
I know, right? That never happens. I was like, the funny thing is, same venue, and I was like, really? The second time around again? Amazing. And I just took it as all those times where you just get totally boned and you're circling the block for 15 times and
your spirit sinking.
And you're just like, why am I doing this? Well,
my family thinks it's funny that when I refer to a good parking spot in New York City, I'll refer to it as the greatest thing that's ever happened to me. You guys are okay, but I mean, this parking spot.
Look, that's great. But this parking spot is fantastic.
Yeah.
Johnny, it's been so great talking to you, man. Thanks so much for coming on the show. Glad we got to make this happen. I'll link to all your tour dates and everything coming up. I'll, of course, link to your great new record. Last thing on the show, this is the only can question that I ever ask people. And so you can choose to interpret it however you like. But why do you do what you do?
Oh, I've been saying in recent years that I think every household by law in America in particular, should have a piano in it, because I already referred to Ouija boarding as sometimes I forget my music theory and all my lessons, and I like to just move my hands around it. And I find that, someone who doesn't know what to call it might find a 6 chord or a major 7 or an add 9 or whatever they've got. And it's such a pleasing thing. It soothes your soul so much, and it lets you forget about what you're worried about, that the fact that I can get paid to go and play blues gigs, and as I've done so far this year in Belgium, France, Spain, Germany, and Portugal, that's pretty good. And because all I want to do is travel anyway, so if I can go over there to play music, I mean, it's combining my favorite things. So there's a professional aspiration, which is very taxing if you're the person doing the booking and hoping to make more money than you spend, which is almost impossible. Because I've now been for years a full-time musician. That's the only thing I do, and for years I was a copywriter. I wrote for catalogs and had that, and that went away because of, freelance writing is gone now, for a lot of us. So it's exciting to get to travel and play and have a new album and things I'm excited about like that. But mostly it soothes my soul so much and lets me think about only that and not other things, that I think it would be a much more peaceful place here, or more harmonious place, if people would just more often not read the headlines and click on the clickbait and watch the news, but just sat down and just move their hands around at the piano with training or zero training. It's just like, it's unspeakably soothing. And I think a piano is the best because you can see the notes and the landscape, and it's a little confusing with the sharps and flats and the raised. I think a guitar is good too, but there's something about a piano, if it's a decent sounding instrument, moving around, I think it's so satisfying, and I haven't lost my attraction to it and my dependence on it all these years. And I feel like I could be 18 or 85 and it's going to have a similar. Plus, what an amazing gift. There's so few notes on it, and there's absolute infinity in it, which is why I decided, oh my God, and then them versus them and Software Giant, this band I ended up with piano module, 2 synths and an organ, a Leslie, a sub, 2 10s, and a guitar amp. I had everything I just said on the stage. And when I started the Claudettes, I said, piano. There's enough. And not just because I'm hauling stuff around in complexity, but because there's infinite variety just in those 12 tones. And so I'm going to that's my variety now. And within that, there's no boredom. All there is like, it's like being like a math, like a math explorer, and being like, there's infinity here, and all the possibilities, and whether you keep it simple or go complex, there's endless variety, and it's again like puzzle solving all the time. I know it's good for my mind, but especially it's like essential for my spirit. And I think that I say all the time, I don't know how people get by without music. Imagine if you just had a job and occasionally went to Disney World, as so many parents do, or just took a trip vacation. It's like, I don't get it. How do you not end it all? Making sounds that please you through music and hopefully please others is just like the gift that keeps on giving, isn't it? Hey.
I heartily agree. Well said. John Iguana, thanks so much, man. See you down the road.
You. Let me know when you're coming through Chicago.
I will. I absolutely will. It'll be soon.
Okay, good.
All right, take care, brother.
Yeah.
There he goes, Johnny Iguana, the Claudettes. Oh my God, them versus them. We there's all kinds of things that we didn't talk about, but we talked about plenty, including which records do or do not sound like crap, which is great and very good use of time. We talked about this song for a while. I'm gonna play us out with "Don't Give It Up to the Thieves."
I'd like you to consider becoming naive again, to reconsider feeling forever aggrieved, and then I want you to prioritize protecting your innocence. Don't give it up to the thieves. Can we get back to a time when you easily trusted, before back when you became well-adjusted? Throw away your common sense, lock up your innocence, and don't give it up to the thieves. Don't give it up to the thieves. No, don't give it up to the thieves. Don't give it up to the thieves. No, don't give it up to the thieves. The thieves are coming for your innocence. They'll leave you with nothing but common sense. They're disgusted by all they have learned. Keep on trusting even if you get burned. The thieves are coming for your innocence. They'll leave you with nothing but common sense.
There you go. Don't Give It Up to the Thieves. That's off of Garage Glamour by the Claudettes. You can go to theclaudettes.bandcamp.com to pick that up. Compact disc, 140-gram black vinyl, or just the digital, cool record. Like I said, I think it's one of the best introductions to that band. Thank you very much. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you so much for listening. This is once again Ben, Conan, Neutron's Protonic Reversal. Thank you so much for listening to it. This show airs Thursdays, 8 Eastern, 7 Central, 6 Mountain, 5 Pacific, streaming live on YouTube and Twitch, podcasted later everywhere. Always free, no ads, no sponsors, no kidding. ProtonicReversal.com. But if you like the show and you want to support it and get episodes sooner, patreon.com/ProtonicReversal. $1 a month will achieve that goal, and it helps keep the lights on in this joint. Deeply appreciate all of that. Thanks for everyone liking the show, subscribing on your platform of choice, leaving a review. All the house people discover the show beats back the almighty algorithm. It's deeply appreciated. 2 more shows, believe it or not, before I head out on tour. We have Dave Ketching of Rancho de la Luna and Queens of Stone Age, Earthlings, Eagles of Death Metal, one of my favorite bearded dudes. Come back on for the first time, I think, since the pandemic, which is crazy. And then Mr. Flies. It was just going to be Clinton, but it's going to be Clinton and Danny of Mr. Flies. They're coming on as well. So stay tuned for that. And then NeutronFriends.com, West Coast Tour, select Midwest dates, Caterwall West in LA. More stuff coming. Stay tuned for those NeutronFriends.com. If you're into those places, come out. I'm reasonably certain I got Protonic stickers. I'll give you one. Anything else? No, I think that is it.
Microphone turns sound into electricity.
Stay safe out there. That's it.
Can you hear me now?
Check you later.
Out on Route 128, dark and lonely, radio on. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Welcome to my top 10. I'd like to thank our sponsor. But we haven't got a sponsor. Not if you were the last man on earth. She was prepared to prove it. This one goes out to a special girl. But there is no special girl. It's the end of radio. The last announcer plays the last record. The last what? Leaves the transmitter. Circles the globe in search of a listener. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Is it really broadcasting if there's no one there to receive? It's the end of radio. As we come to the close of our broadcast day,